Darcy in a coma. Will Izzy's secret be safe? Neighbours is at 1:40 here on BBC One. Now they're investigating courtroom custody, Britain's secret shame.
Angry fathers are waging a campaign of civil disturbance. They've even lobbed purple powder at the Prime Minister. So what has got them so irate? The failings of the family courts, which they say are preventing them seeing their children. When parents split up, it may be the family courts who decide who gets the children. But these courts operate in secrecy, so can we trust them to treat parents fairly and put our children first? Britain's secret shame is that thousands of our youngsters are being deprived of their fathers because the courts are failing. These people claim this is the only way they can get their voices heard on what they say is one of the greatest social injustices in Britain today.
Suspension Bridge in Bristol has been closed to traffic because of a protest by the campaign group Fathers for Justice.
4 fathers, frustrated with the family courts, sit out their protest for 2 days and a night.
Also, if the police come up here to try and get us down, then we'll just come up the edge. It's as simple as that. We are desperate fathers.
This Spider-Man has agreed to tell us his story.
When I decided to scale the bridge, I was feeling really frustrated and down. I was being denied access to my son. There are thousands of people in the same boat as me, but nothing's being done about it. It's being ignored.
Eventually, Spider-Man and his fellow comic book heroes come down. They're arrested and charged with causing a public nuisance.
Every single person that's watching this programme that is a dad or a mum can be affected by this problem. If a relationship breaks down and somebody decides that they don't want the other person to see those children, in this country today there is virtually nothing the law will do for the absent parent. And also Jason, who is now known as the Pope.
The Bristol branch of Fathers for Justice are celebrating the latest protest.
But we do need people, if anyone is in the room or knows something.
Fathers for Justice claim they have 10,000 members in the UK, all unhappy with the legal system.
So we like to talk about protests that have happened since our last meeting, and there's been 1 or 2. Gary's going to stand up in a minute and tell us about his.
This Spider-Man joined a year ago. We'll call him Steve. Steve and his son used to go everywhere together.
My little lad was like my shadow. He used to follow me everywhere, and he was like a mini-me, really. He said, anything if I was wearing a football shirt to go out, he'd wear the same one. And he wouldn't want to go out unless he was dressed the same as me.
When Steve split up with his girlfriend 4 years ago, he initially saw plenty of his son. But, he claims, when she found a new partner, this stopped.
I had a court order, contact was granted, and my ex had to bring my son along so that I was allowed to see him, but that contact was stopped the first time it was supposed to go ahead.
Steve had gone to court believing the law would ensure he had access. What he found would shatter his faith in the justice system.
In the last 4 years they've moved to 4 different properties, and I'm never ever, although I've got parental responsibility for my son, I'm never told of where he's moving, where he's going, what school he's been changed to. My ex is breaking contact orders, breaking court orders left, right and centre without any punishment at all.
The family courts in England and Wales make 61,000 contact orders each year, but at least 20% of these are broken, usually by mothers. Campaigners claim there are over 10,000 fathers unable to see their children, even though the courts say they should.
At the moment, if a contact order is broken, the judge can really only do a very, very narrow number of things. He could send someone to prison. He could fine the person concerned. But he can't, for example, make a community service order. He can't make a probation order. He can't direct that the parents go to see a psychiatrist to help them through the problems and explain how important the contact is.
Family court judges very rarely fine or imprison mothers. Some mothers break contact orders and get away with it.
What the fathers want is for the order to be obeyed. What the children need is for the order to be obeyed. The children do not need one of their parents to go to prison. The whole result of that, where she's then able to say to the children, "Your daddy sent me to prison," I mean, it's just an appalling scenario.
The courts are unable or unwilling to enforce their orders because they say it's not fair to put a mother in prison, yet it's fair to deny access to a father.
Steve also alleges that because his ex has been granted financial assistance and he hasn't, the courts are an unequal playing field. She has no problem paying her solicitor's fees, while Steve struggles to meet the escalating costs of his case.
I've had to take out another mortgage because I've spent in the region of £18,000, whereas they get legal aid. It seems a total waste of public funds. I mean, people out there should know where their taxes are going. If legal aid wasn't granted to my ex, then this would have been sorted out a long time ago. If it was their own money they were spending, they wouldn't pursue the matter through the courts.
Steve is helpless. Despite having ruled that he should have contact with his son, the courts won't ensure that he does. He doesn't even know where his own child lives.
Any court that won't enforce his court orders is basically a sham. There's no point in going to court, because you know you get a contact order, it gets broken, you have to wait another 2 months to go back to court, so the legal system at the moment for fathers is just a waste of space.
This year, Fathers for Justice took their protest direct to the family court in London. They claim this was the only way of complaining against a court that bans people from speaking out.
Anybody that's been to family law court is not allowed in public to talk about their own individual case. I'm not allowed to give you details of my case. In other words, it's a gagging order.
Solicitor and Deputy Judge Christopher Butler decides cases in the family courts. He defends the rules of confidentiality.
I can think of no reason why matters relating to the internal machinations and operations of a family should be publicised, because that would be deeply damaging to the children and could have a very, very lasting effect on them and their parents.
But these protesters claim that courts which operate behind closed doors are not getting the public scrutiny they need.
I can understand from the child's point of view, not naming the children, but after that I think it gets to the stage where it's in the public interest. If people knew some of the cases that you and I know, I don't think that that there would be the problem that exists today, and part of the reason that problem exists is because of the secrecy of family law.